since Sonny Gray was called up, he has impressed. And so far in his first full season as a starter, he has racked up 12 wins, and he has also been the stopper on numerous occasions after an A's loss. Tonight, the Nashville native will get the start in nearby Atlanta, where plenty of family and friends will get to see the young phenom wearing the green and gold. Sonny and the A's take on the Braves next. Turner Field in Atlanta for Game 2 of this 3-game series, and it's a special night here at the ballpark as we're going back to 1914. That's the year the Boston Braves defeated the Philadelphia A's in the World Series. So check out the uniforms tonight. And again, 1914. So adds a little extra fun to tonight's ball game. And it'll be the Oakland A's and the Atlanta Braves coming up on Comcast Sportsnet, California. Hey again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. You saw Sonny Gray getting warmed up. And, Ray, we're so used to him pitching well. When he loses 3 in a row, which he's never done in his big league career, I guess you start thinking, well, what's wrong with Sonny Gray? He really hasn't pitched that poorly, but he hasn't won in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, I think we're accustomed to seeing him get run support, which he has not done in his last 3 starts. He's pitched well, but when you only get a couple of run support, it makes it a little bit difficult. I think that's what the A's need to do for all their pitchers. Give them a little breathing room so when they do take them out, they don't have to worry about making one bad pitch, giving up a home run. But Sonny Gray, all we need to see tonight is a great curveball, great fastball. There's a lot of people in Atlanta, especially in the broadcast area, looking forward to seeing young Sonny Gray tonight.
And the Braves will send a pretty good young right-hander to them, Julian Teheran, who is an all-star this year, but he is also struggling some.
Yeah, he's lost his last 3 as well, but you look at some of his pitches, you can really wonder why he's been losing. A great breaking ball, sweeping breaking ball, caught by Evan Gattis, and how about the pickoff move? A very quick move, so that should also concern the Athletics getting on base, but he's a very good pitcher. He will mix his pitches, but you see the big sweeping breaking ball that he will throw to lefties or to righties, which makes it a very difficult pitch to hit.
All right, so the A's have lost 3 in a row, and that lead in the AL West is down to just 1 over the Angels, so the A's need a big effort from Sonny Gray tonight and try to get a win in this series. When we come back, we'll head back inside the A's pregame live studios and then back to the ballpark for lineups and first pitch. It's the A's and the Braves, Game 2 of the series. We'll be back.
Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Right now at Jack in the Box, try Jack's Spicy Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. And by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to Turner Field as we are closing in on first pitch. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Athletics and the Braves. Nice crowd tonight. And if you're just joining us, maybe you missed our open. Again, they're celebrating 1914 tonight here at the ballpark, and that's why you're going to see some of the old uniforms worn by both teams. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. Nice warm night at the ballpark, 87 degrees, a little humid, but not a lot. As this game starting a half hour earlier than last night. And of course, there'll be a night game tomorrow as well, the nationally televised game. There are the uniforms the A's are wearing tonight. Those are the uniforms that were worn by the Philadelphia A's in 1914. The reason they're celebrating tonight is in 1914, the Boston Braves defeated the Philadelphia A's in the World Series. So, some guys look like they could have played in 1914 in those uniforms. Other guys don't look quite as good. So,
I was a little shocked to see that shot down on the bench and see the architect, the guy that put it all together, is in his own green and gold. That's Steve Vucinich.
Yeah, he's got to get some sweatpants or something.
Do something, because he was dressed just like, well, they have to wear the helmet that says Coco. There's Vuce.
See, he's out of place.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys in the throwback uniforms, and there's Vuce. He made sure everybody was fitted perfectly, and there's Vuce.
See, they didn't have Nike tennis shoes back then.
Actually, they didn't have equipment matters that traveled either.
Let's take a look at the lineup for the A's tonight. It starts with Coco Crisp. He'll be in center. Jaso will catch. Donaldson at third. Boss in left field. Vogt at first. Reddick in right. Callaspo at second. Sogard at short. And the pitcher is Sonny Gray.
Julio Teheran on the mound for the Braves tonight. Boston or Atlanta, doesn't matter. He's pretty good. He's young, making his 26th start, 10-game winner. But as we talked in our open, he has lost his last 3. He's given up 18 home runs on the season, but as really the pitcher last night, walks, strikeout to walk ratio, excellent. So A's will see him as they see most of the National League pitchers for the first time.
Braves defense tonight. It has Upton, and Hayward in the outfield. Johnson, Simmons, Goslin, Freeman third to first, and Evan Gattis is again behind the plate. So the Braves with a big win last night, trying to chase down the Nationals. They trail the Nationals by 6 games in the National League East, but they're a little closer in the wild card. So the Braves very much still in the postseason chase. They've made the postseason 3 out of the last 4 years, so they're used to this postseason thing.
Just look at the flags up on left field. All those pennants from winning the division. 14 consecutive seasons under Bobby Cox. Bob Melvin trying to get his team on the right track there. The Division 1, of course, the one World Championship that they had in the red. Perennial winners to get there, but for some reason, lateness as far as World Championships kind of eluded them.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. So there's the last 3 starts for Julio Teheran. He was an all-star this year, and he is a very good young right-hander, just 23 years old. So 2 of the better young pitchers in baseball going at it tonight, Teheran and Sonny Gray, and the first pitch of the ball game is in for a strike. So the A's trying to get that offense going. Last night, just a couple of runs, both on the Fryman home run. They had just 4 hits. And that one is inside, and something to watch for in the early going. Last night, the final 17 A's hitters were retired. Their last hit was in the 4th inning.
The second fastball thrown by Teheran. He throws the fastball 4-seam in the low 90s. And there's the sweeping breaking ball. That's the one the A's, if they can pick up the spin of the breaking ball, it's one that they could be taking and a lot of times out of the strike zone.
Fair amount of sliders. 20%. He has lost to the Dodgers, the Mariners, and then the Dodgers again in those last 3 starts. Two 1 to Coco. Jammed him and he loops it foul. So the count is 2-2. Coco was 0 for 4 last night. He is scuffling some. He's got 5 hits in his last 39 at bats, and the average now at 256. This one hit shallow to left center. Simmons, the Gold Glover, gets back there. He's got it. Anderton Simmons grabs it.
Time enough the Nissan keys of the game for Teheran continue to dominate at home, and that's what his MO has been. And for the Braves, they had been asleep. Don't need to wake them up. Last night they did wake a little bit. 3 home runs against Jason Hamilton, another one against Jesse Chavez. So 4 home runs. That young man at first base is pretty good. Freddie Freeman.
So with 1 out, Jaso steps in. Jaso was a pinch hitter last night. He was not in the starting lineup. 264 with 8 homers, 38 RBIs. And that one pulled down the right field line, headed for the seats, and it is foul. Very high, plenty deep, and it could not have been fouled by a whole lot.
Sure took Ted Baird a long time to make the call, because as high and hard, long as it was hit, and he did take the time. Because last night at second, he had a play overturned on the pickoff.
So 1-1 the count with Donaldson in the on-deck circle. Fastball just missed outside. 2-1. A's still leading the American League in runs scored. They've scored 591 runs. They're 4th in home runs. They lead the league in walks. But in a little bit of a scoring slump right now. Good swing by Jaso, and the count 3-2. So the last 8 road games, these have gone 2-6. Where they scored a bunch in Kansas City in their 1 win against the Royals.
And you know, if they struggle now and can pick it up still with the month of September remaining plus half of this month, there's nothing wrong with that. Teams cannot go through an entire season. Well, I guess you can look at some, maybe the Mariners in the early 2000s. They won 116 games. It's like they never went in a slump, but teams do go into a little bit of a slump, whether it's offensively or pitching. Just a matter of recovering from that.
3-2 pitch is driven to center. Upton goes back, squares up, 2 outs.
That's old school there. 3-2, challenge with the fastball, and got a little bit extra on it from Teheran, and forced John Jaso, because the location hit the ball to straightaway center, which is the deepest part of the park.
So with 2 outs, Donaldson will hit. Teheran is just 23 years old. He's from Colombia. He was signed as a 16-year-old back in 2007. Sounds like Felix Hernandez. He was signed when he was 16 as well. So signed him when he was young, developed him in the minor league system, and now looks like he's going to be a very good pitcher for a long time.
Players like that are not subjected to Major League Draft, which are trying to change, I think, to let that happen, because Felix, they started looking at him at age 14, signed him at 16. And if you're that age and Teams are there just waiting for you to turn a certain age, and then they sign you.
There's that slider. And with Teran, last year he was a 14-game winner, made 30 starts his first full year in the big leagues. In the offseason, he got a 6-year contract.
Well, I don't know where this one was and what was wrong with it, because that looked like a pretty good pitch. Alfonso Marquez making the calls.
And this one hit high and foul behind the Athletics dugout. So I think the Braves, seeing the cost of what it takes for starting pitcher, especially in free agency, sign one of your own, even though there is a certain risk involved if the young pitcher were to get injured. But he got a 6-year contract, so he is signed through 2019. After just one full season in the big leagues. If he stays healthy, it'll probably be a bargain for the Braves, and that's what they hope.
It's a bargain for him, too.
Yep.
For these players, especially, they're signing at 16 and out of Colombia for him, and for Venezuela for King Felix. Get that kind of a contract, you're happy.
Hit hard. Simmons dives, he can't get it, and Donaldson has a 2-out single.
A curveball that got a little bit more to the plate than the 0-2 that was called a ball. Teran trying to throw the big sweeping breaking ball, and it's the old roundhouse in a sense, and really kind of comparable back in the early 20th century. But Josh Donaldson with Simmons making the dive at it, but Donaldson really hit it hard, and that's kind of like Cespedes. We'd seen him and Donaldson, Moss, those guys with the power. Once they hit the ball on the ground, it explodes through the infield.
So here's Moss. Moss takes a first pitch strike. Moss was not in the lineup last night. He had a huge series in Kansas City. He had 7 hits, 4 RBIs. Oh, didn't miss by much.
As we said last night, center field camera shows it direct on as far as the pitches, and you know, the curveball to Donaldson and this fastball, I mean, to get to the location, it had to cross the plate, you'd figure, and that's surprising that it's not called a strike. Good for the A's so far.
And there's a shot. Shift is on. Gosselin has it out on the outfield grass and throws to first, side, retired. A runner stranded after the Donaldson hit. Bottom of the first coming up. Little music from 1914. That's what we're guessing. Here's the lineup for the Braves. Hayward, Gosselin, Freeman, Upton, Johnson, Gaddis, Simmons, Upton, Teran.
And Sonny Gray looking for win number 13 as he is 12-6 on the season. And We talk about losing the last 3 games, but for Sonny Gray, except for the game against Tampa Bay in which he gave up 10 hits and 7 runs, 6 earned, he's really not given up a lot of runs, yet he has 3 losses because his offense has not given him that much support. So he hopes to rebound tonight, get some offensive support. He looks so great in that 1914 uniform throwback, and I think he's ready to perform just as he did in 1914.
Yeah, he's good that year. So Gray faces Jason Hayward here in the bottom of the first. And Gray's first pitch of the ball game is bounced right to the shortstop Sogard, who is shifted over to his left some, and 1 pitch, and Hayward is retired. A's defense tonight has Moss in left, Crispin center, Reddick in right, Donaldson at third, Sogard at short, Callaspo at second, Vogt at first. Jaso is your catcher.
See a big leadoff hitter, as we've seen with Hayward. And you throw him a first pitch fastball, he's not your prototypical leadoff hitter. He's not going to try to see a lot of pitches, and it's kind of scary, especially lead off a game. I'm not surprised to see him swing at the first pitch, and fortunately a little bit extra on the fastball from Sonny Gray.
Here's Phil Gosselin, who played shortstop last night, hit his first career home run. He is playing second base tonight. Gosselin with good numbers in the minor leagues. Trying to do the same in the big leagues. He was hitting .344 in AAA. Slightly open stance for Gosselin. Hits that one right up the middle, over the bag, and into center field.
Well, last night the A's were down 5-0, made it 5-2 with a Nate Fryman 2-run home run, but really kind of the turning point is this just easy ground ball out. And unfortunately, as Nate Fryman said, he did not charge to get the good hop and let it play him. And then the next pitch, the first pitch to Gosselin, hits his first major league home run on what looked like a cut fastball that stayed up. Jesse was a little bit upset, not so much probably with what Gosselin did, but the fact that he wanted to take over, pick up his first baseman, did not happen, and that made a 7-2 game at the time.
So here is Freddie Freeman. 3-run home run last night for Freeman, one of the 4 that they hit. So 17 home runs now on the season, 34 doubles. He's got 4 triples. He's got an on-base percentage of .380, a slugging percentage of .491. Those are good numbers.
And how about that courtesy? Stood in the batter's box, looked back to John Jaso, said, "You okay?" Because he took a foul tip, foul ball. Making sure that even though it's catching for the A's, want to make sure he's okay after foul ball got him someplace. Although that's kind of like a magnet on Jaso. He seems to attract a lot of baseballs.
One pitch is hit hard, fair, down the first base line. Gosselin is digging for third, and they're going to wave him home. And Gosselin will score, and the Braves take an early 1-0 lead.
The Braves are a good fastball hitting team, and Sonny Gray has an excellent curveball. He's thrown fastballs, and watch this fastball. Watch how quickly this first baseman turns on it. Fastball hit by Gosselin up the middle. 1-1 to Freeman past the diving Vogt at first base down in the corner. Once it got there, he's going to have an RBI. Vogt just could not get to it. It's hit so hard. But the thing about Sonny Gray, when we have seen him at his best, is when he's established the curveball early in the game. And this team, and especially that young man, very good fastball hitting team. 35th double for Freeman.
Here's Justin Upton. Upton takes an off-speed pitch inside. Upton homered last night. His 22nd. He leads the Braves in home runs. 4th in the National League in home runs. Good fastball there, had a little jump to it. 1-1 the count.
See the swing by Upton though, and after missing curveball first pitch, elevated the fastball, but expanded the zone to go after the higher fastball. From Sonny Gray's standpoint, that's good because Upton could not catch up to it.
One pitch right on the outside corner. Good spot.
Great location, and this time outside corner, coming back and frees a power hitter. It's a pretty good fastball.
So Gray ahead in the count, 1-2, and he fouls back the fastball, does Upton. Justin Upton still a young man. He was born in 1987. Played a lot of baseball already. Nice block by Jaso, and the count is 2-2.
Well, a couple of curveballs in this at bat, and Jaso anticipated the ball in the dirt with a breaking ball and the curveball, and he smothered it. That's what you want to try to do on a curveball like that.
So Freeman at second, he doubled in a run. Good pitch right on the outside corner, and Upton knew it. 2 outs.
This is Sonny Gray at his best right here. This is the curveball that really is kind of unhittable. And not surprising that Upton started, knew it was strike 3, and headed back to dugout. So if the worst thing that happens in this inning, a couple of hits on fastballs, and Sonny Gray starts to establish his curveball, maybe that'll be fine. 28%. That's a big percentage of pitches thrown of the curveball variety.
Here's Chris Johnson, the third baseman. Johnson was 1 for 3 last night. Close pitch. 2-0. Outfield shifted a little bit toward right field for Johnson. Rolls that one foul.
Well, that was some movement. Pitch was at 94 miles per hour. And you throw a fastball with that kind of movement at 94, that's a pretty good pitch.
So 2-1 the count. And that one's driven towards shallow right center, and that's going to fall for a hit. Freeman's going to come around to score, and it's 2-0 Braves. Wasn't hit hard off the end of the bat, but it's good enough to give Johnson a 2-out RBI hit.
Well, the curveball, not the sharp one that we saw with Upton, and you're right, it had the movement, watch go towards the end of the bat, but instead of hitting on the sweet part of the bat, the hitters want to have it hit in the sweet part, but that time it worked out beneficially for Johnson to hit it off the end of the bat.
So now Evan Gattis will hit. Gattis hit a home run last night. The first pitch is outside. He's got 18 home runs and 46 RBIs. Up and in. Gaddis last year in his first year in the big leagues, 21 home runs and 65 RBIs in 105 games. He kind of came out of nowhere last year a little bit for the Braves and turned out to be a heck of a story.
Well, the story is that he didn't catch that much. He's still trying to learn how to catch because Ryan McCann did most of the catching last year. And he played left field and first base. But the big story is that he quit baseball after high school.
And that one's hit high in the air to left field. Moss going back. He's going to have room. Warning track. He's got it. Side retired. So the Braves get 2 runs on 3 hits, and they lead 2-0 after 1. Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, in theaters everywhere starting Friday. It's throwback night, so everything's $1. Cheap stuff. Peanuts, popcorn, hot dogs,
Cracker Jacks.
Cracker Jack.
$1.75 for everything that
That's not
the
bad.
person's carrying. And those people saying, it's for us? Thank you.
What a deal. Uniforms from 1914. So 2-0 Braves. Vogt, Reddick, and Callaspo against Julio Teheran. Vogt hitting .325, 7 homers, 29 RBIs. And that one bounced to the right side, backhanded by Freeman. Underhands to Teheran, and that's out number 1. I think Stephen Vogt can pull off the uni.
Yeah. Just get rid of the shin guard off the top of his foot. Sweatbands.
So you don't think they had shin guards in 1914?
I think it was
huh?
kind of simple. 14.
I think you're right. Don't see any of the Braves with the pant legs up.
Yeah.
I want to know to Reddick, who's hitting .257, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs. Changeup off the plate outside. And he went right back to the changeup, and that one he just moved over about 6 inches and got a swinging strike.
Well, all he had to do is throw it close to the plate. Gaddis right in the middle of the plate, and there's the pitch. When it comes in like a fastball, 2-0. sometimes a good fastball is a hard pitch to bunt, and Reddick was hoping the pitch was outside that he could push it with nobody on the left side except one, and I assume that's Johnson, the third baseman. Or is that?
I think that's Simmons.
Simmons? Okay, so they move the third baseman.
Yeah, Johnson's playing just to the right of second base.
So this is 8,622?
Something like that. Give or take 100.
Yeah.
Talking about amount of shifts in baseball this year, which is over 11,000. It's the number we saw in an article about it.
Man.
Three-two pitch, and Reddick lays off, and he's got a 1-out walk. So what the heck was going on in 1914? Well, baseball-wise, they were the Miracle Braves. They struggled for a large portion of the year and then got hot. They were in last place on July 4th. They finished the season with a 70-19 run. That's not bad. That's not bad. In the World Series, Connie Mack, of course, he was the longtime manager of the Philadelphia A's. And some of the names.
Yeah, and the Braves, I think that note at the bottom, the Braves played at Fenway Park. They shared it with the Red Sox because they were building their new stadium, which I was told is very close to the current Fenway Park, which is now maybe a football stadium for Boston College. It's close to Fenway, but they played at Fenway in 14, and they won the championship there, winning 2 at Chide Park, and then the final 2 at Fenway.
And that's the only World Series win by the Boston Braves.
By the way, with the exception of Game 3, which was an extra inning game, the other 3 took less than 2 hours to play.
Unbelievable. Just getting back is Reddick.
Oh, we showed the quick move during our open, and here it is again. And Freeman applying the tag, Reddick to the back of the bag, which is smart.
Another quick move. You know, that time period, Ray, it was actually the team to beat in that time period was the Philadelphia A's.
Right.
Remember, they won the World Series in 1910, 1911. They won it again in 1913. Then they lost in 1914. So that was a stretch where the Philadelphia A's were really the top team in baseball.
Well, if they paid baseball players like what they just showed on the Diamond Vision, showing back to 1914, with Ford Motor Company raised the 9-hour wage from $2.40 to an 8-hour day of $5.
Huh.
So if they paid players like that, they didn't have a lot of TV. Matter of fact, they didn't have any at the time.
There's no rights fees, and they got it. Wow. So it was close once, and then Reddick gets picked off.
Now, Bob Melvin.
Well, we'll see what happens on the replay if he indeed was out.
Well, as Diaz coming over from third base, Bob Melvin was saying something. Now, Reddick indicated it actually was heading towards second base.
So
wow.
Bob Melvin does not argue, and Callaspo lofts one into center field. Upton's under it. He's got it. Side retired. So another base running mistake by the Athletics, and they trail 2-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. getting into it a little bit with Laz Diaz, who's the third base umpire. This is the play, and you saw Reddick just a little step towards second, and they got him. And
that right there, when you're pushing off and you've taken that half step, and there's a quick tag by Freeman, and he did get it before his hand got on the bag. Just a question. Melvin is yelling at Laz Diaz, saying watch him, because we showed that quick move. Sometimes when a pitcher has a quick move, maybe there is a balk that he's doing something in his move, and that kind of fools the runners at first base, and maybe that's what Bob Melvin was yelling at Laz Diaz, who would be the third base umpire and the one who would notice, if he's paying attention, that something was going wrong with or changed differently with the delivery.
that one hit right to Callaspo by Andrelton Simmons, and that's out number one. Well, and Bob was standing just on the playing field side of the railing, just kind of maybe waiting to see if there was indeed a replay, but he also, Chuck, you may have said something about the possibility of a balk, and that got Laz Diaz a little bit worked up, and Bob yelled back at him. Sogard on the backhand, straightens up and throws in time to get B.J. Upton. 2 pitches, 2 outs here in the second inning. So that'll bring up the pitcher, Julio Teheran, who is 5 for 51 on the year. He does have 8 sacrifice bunts, and he has 4 RBIs. First pitch drops low. Donaldson playing not even with the bag. Now he backs up a little bit. 2-0. Gray pours that one in there for a strike. And now 3-1.
And he's just trying to throw the fastball down the middle. Figured Teheran is going to make him try to throw as many pitches as possible. So he'll take another one, I assume. He knows he's going to get a fastball. Maybe that will change his thought process.
Yeah. And he rolls this one toward Donaldson, who ranges to his left, throws in time, and that's a 8-pitch inning for Sonny Gray. 3 ground ball outs, and we're headed to the third. 2-0 Braves.
Sports service is now available. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in True HD on over 400 devices. Visit athletics.com for details. That's a pretty important building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the old State House.
Steakhouse? State House.
Last time the A's were here in Atlanta was 2008.
You know, Campa was talking to John Smoltz, who's working on the TV side for the Braves, and we were talking about the game that Brian McCann caught. His major league debut was John Smoltz. There is a future Hall of Famer wearing the little he said he's going to wear it on the golf course too, the hat that he bought for his partners. But he said that Brian McCann, that was 2005, that was over Fulton County Stadium, whenever he pitched the game, and he said that when McCann caught him, he won 7 straight games of McCann catching him. And he said after 7, he looked at the lineup card and he saw another catcher. Went to Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox said, I had to give him a day off. He lost. So
should have known.
Should have known.
So it does make a difference.
Well, in certain guys' minds, it makes a difference.
And don't you think that, and you said it right, in certain guys' minds, where it's just hey,
absolutely.
I've won 7 straight with this guy.
Yeah.
And that certainly makes sense.
Well, there's a comfort level, and to me, the biggest comfort level is from a pitcher and a catcher working together, is that the pitcher stands on the mound, gets a sign, knows the catcher, they're on the same page, and he doesn't have to think. Now, there's nothing against the pitcher to think, but if he just sees the sign and the location, throws the ball, I think in a lot of cases they're much better pitcher. At least I've caught some guys who have said that. But you see a pitcher shaking off a catcher, that's not going to work very well. It's kind of that butting heads right from the beginning.
Sometimes frustration sets in a little bit. One and 2 to Sogard. Gray to follow, and then Crisp here in the top of the third. A's trailing 2-0. And Sogard drives one toward right center field, and nobody's going to get it. Up the alley. Grabbed by Hayward, who hustles it back in, and Sogard has a leadoff double.
Sogard's happy. The A's are happy. Sonny Gray is disappointed because he's going to bunt, and he'd rather swing the bat because he's a pretty good athlete. But Eric Sogard continues to swing the bat well, playing more, and everything's showing well for him as he gets a 2-strike fastball, and that's a great shot when you see it headed into right center with nobody to be able to cut it off except Hayward after Sogard had already reached second.
So Sonny Gray steps in, shows bunt early, and takes a strike.
And it goes, whoop.
That was quick.
That's, to me, is the difference in this game. In the National League parks, when a pitcher's standing up there just trying to bunt and sees a ball, it seems like 200 miles an hour. And he wants to swing the bat so badly. Even in spring training, when the pitchers are instructed not to swing the bat, Sonny would bunt. So they say he could work on his bunting, but also so he could run, try to beat it out.
One pitch is bunted to the pitcher, who looks at third, spins and throws to first. So nice bunt by Sonny Gray. And as long as you get the third baseman to just vacate his spot, well, then you know there's not going to be a play at third.
That was a tremendous bunt. Under the circumstance, see Johnson creeping in. He started to go after it, and he did not know Teran was going to get to it. And, boy, you have to know your pitcher's ability to field the ball. Second baseman covering. But Sonny Gray, what a tremendous job on a very good fastball to move the runner over to third. And Coco Crisp just hit a ground ball to the right side, score a run just to get on the board. Take advantage of the leadoff double.
I was surprised that Johnson fully committed to going after that ball, because it was really right back to the pitcher. I think the A's were lucky that he did.
I agree.
Because there may have been a play at third if he were able to get back there. Coco bunts it in the air, and it's caught by the pitcher. So that's the second out.
Well, he's trying to drag the ball, but with the infield back, I have no idea what he was thinking. All he has to do is put the ball in play. They are giving a run to the A's if he just puts the ball in play on the ground. And since he has come back and been playing on a regular basis, he has been hitting ground balls. And you figure that's going to be a gift run. Now it's going to take a 2-out hit.
So here's Jaso. And the first pitch to Jaso, that changeup, 84 miles an hour, and it was a good one. Swing and a miss by Jaso. Jaso hit a fly ball to center field in the first inning. He just missed a home run down the right field line. It just went foul. And that's blocked nicely by Evan Gattis. And Ray talked about Gattis still kind of learning how to catch. And he is a big guy, but
he is.
Moves around pretty well.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete, and that is a great move. He anticipated the break, and we always talk about the curveball and anticipation of where the ball is going to break, and he moved in front of it. And looks like he's going to go right back to the same pitch. Called it again.
And that one a little bit more hittable. And Jaso fouled it back. So now Jaso behind in the count 1-2. Teheran does not have a strikeout tonight. He has walked one. And he is a strikeout guy. He's got 152 strikeouts this year in 174 innings. And that one on the ground to Freeman. Scoops it up. Flips to Teheran. Side retired. So the A's got Sogard to third with 1 out. Cannot get him home. Bottom of the third coming up. It's the Braves 2 and the A's nothing. Facts are brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Braves franchise history home run leaders. How about that list? Hammer and Hank on top, right where he should be. And there he is. Eddie Matthews, great left-handed hitter. Of course, Chipper Jones, Dale Murphy, Andrew Jones. Joe Adcock, he was a big, strong guy too, right?
He was. For the old Milwaukee Braves. And, of course, everybody on that list retired, so the two top and Aaron and Matthews. Pretty good duo there.
They are good.
Hank Aaron evidently fell, broke his hip. I think he's had some issues with his hip, but still going strong.
Hammer and Hank.
Well, that's a dynamic duo there, and have to face those two guys every time you go up.
And then if you got past him, then it would be Adcock.
That's right. Used to collect baseball cards at the Milwaukee Braves. That was one of my favorite teams that I collected cards.
They were the Milwaukee Braves from 1953 to 1965. So really not a very long time, Ray, but their time in Milwaukee, they were really, really good. And they won a World Series in 1957. Tapped slowly down the first base line. Vogt grabs it, and Hayward is retired. And Hank Aaron was a young player when he was with the Milwaukee Braves.
And he's all wrist.
That looks like an all-star game to me. Here's the moment.
It's it. Right. Al Downey. That's Tom House in left field in the bullpen catching number 715, and he came running in to present the ball to Hank Aaron. Fans running out.
Whatever happened to those two guys?
Actually, I think they were at the reunion of that home run.
Were they really?
They were there. And I think they were part of the celebration of the reunion.
That was unbelievable.
In today's world, what would happen to them?
Yeah, they we may never see him again.
Not in a celebration for sure.
No.
Quickest wrist of any hitter I've ever seen. And I say wrist in an era now with the strength, the power of players. But Hank Aaron, man.
25-time All-Star.
Well, that's when they used to play a couple, 2 or 3 years, 2 All-Star games a year. 82 of the Hall of Fame, Hammer and Hank Aaron. You don't need to say his last name, Hammer and Hank.
No. And he's the all-time leader in RBIs.
Yeah, how about that?
Which, you always think about the home runs and the 755, but 2,297 RBIs.
And of course, I think he's still listed first in all professional baseball players with AA.
Right.
So
right before his brother Tommy.
Yeah. And I think they hold the record for the most home runs hit by brothers.
That's right. What a brother combination they were. Tommy Aaron.
Tommy Aaron and Hank Aaron.
But the Braves left Milwaukee after the 1965 season and came to Atlanta, which growing up in the Milwaukee area, I don't remember them leaving, but I know a lot of people who do, and they were devastated because they were a very, very good team, and their attendance was pretty good, but it always sounded like the story was that Major League Baseball really wanted a team down in the South, and there wasn't any teams in Florida.
And so you're saying after 1 year of the Seattle Pilots playing in Seattle, 69, they moved to Milwaukee in 70. So wasn't very long time of vacant park, but
nope. But I remember, Ray, as a kid, after the Braves moved to Atlanta, and this is probably 1968, 1969. Actually, it was probably 69 and 70. The Atlanta Braves would actually come back to Milwaukee and play an exhibition game against the Brewers. They did it about 3 years in a row, and I remember going because everybody wanted to see Hank Aaron.
Sure.
And County Stadium was packed.
Absolutely.
I mean, jam-packed, and it was just an exhibition game in the middle of the season.
Right.
But the Braves made that trip in, and everybody came to see Hank Aaron, and he'd bat twice, and everybody would wait around after the game to see Hank get on the bus for the Braves. But what nobody knew is he was gone in the 5th inning. He was already at the airport. But we would stand outside and wait to see if just get a glimpse of Hank. He never came out of that clubhouse. Sogard quickly to first, and they just get Gosselin, who was hustling down the line.
It's a good break for the A's and Sonny Gray. That was ball 4 and almost on the ground, and Gosselin beat it in the ground to shortstop, out of the box, maybe frustrated. But watch right there, the hop, and Sogard had to reach up and make a quick throw. Gosselin really hustling down the line, almost beat it out. But the signature, of course, a great swing by Hank Aaron, but you see him cross home plate. He always wore his helmet over his soft cap. And you see him reach up, take his hand on top. That's how big his hand was. He could take up the top of the helmet and pick it up off of his hat.
And the hat would be on.
And the hat would be on his head.
And he had a good throwing arm too.
Well, he was a huge player, 5'2". I mean, he could do it all. Vaughn and Sane pray for rain. Lou Burdett, the Tories.
Well, Hank Aaron finished his career back in Milwaukee, and that's when you would have played against him, 75 and 76. Those were the final 2 years of his career, but he was the DH for the Brewers. Two and one to Freddie Freeman, who had an RBI double in the first. He also scored. So Freeman has hurt the A's in both games of this series. So now it's 2-2.
A cut movement on his fastball, and don't really know if it's a cutter or just had the movement. We saw one back up, but this one, strange and rare to see. Freeman swinging a pitch out of the strike zone.
And he got him with another curveball. So Sonny Gray settling in. He's got back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings, and we're headed to the fourth. The Braves 2 and the A's nothing. A's Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Prism. Now your team can collaborate at a whole new level with video walls from Prism. Learn how at Prism.com. It is Centennial Park here in Atlanta. We are at Turner Field where the Braves are leading the Athletics 2-0.
And I think if the A's could score some runs, Sonny Gray has settled down. It's just he had a hiccup in the first inning, giving up a couple of runs, but Tehran is pitching well himself.
Tehran's given up 2 hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts, 45 pitches through the first 3 innings as he faces Donaldson, Moss, and Vogt. So heart of the order. Rolls it foul. 1-1 the count.
See the numbers on the back of the uniforms. Of course, in 1914, they didn't have numbers. So the uniform, while it's kind of authentic from the 1914, but Major League Baseball requires that numbers be worn now. So even in the throwbacks, they have to have numbers on the back of the jerseys. You see the Ty Cobb in Detroit with the statue. No name, no number, no nothing. Yeah. Just the statue. But
well, the story I've heard is that when they did start using numbers, the number you wore was where you were in the batting order.
Especially for the Yankees.
Babe Ruth third, Lou Gehrig fourth.
Yeah. Mickey Mantle sixth.
2-2 the count.
I think there's a guy named DiMaggio, number 5, right?
Yeah. Let's put him in the 5th spot.
And, of course, there were no helmets. 1953 was the first year helmets were worn. It was after the late Don Zimmer was beamed, playing minor league baseball. He was unconscious for 2 weeks. And he woke up, thought it was the day after the game, had been unconscious for 2 weeks. And Brooklyn Dodgers, the minor leagues where he's playing, they said helmets have to be worn. And, of course, that was really just kind of the Scully on the inside of the soft cap. And then went to the no flap helmet, and now the double in the minor leagues and a single flap for major leagues. Don Zimmer, of course, wore the big military helmet during the World Series when he got hit.
That's right.
And sitting in the dugout, first base, Derek Jeter brought him a Popeye helmet for Popeye.
Good swing by Donaldson as he's given Teran a good battle.
Well, he's got that leg kick, and he's aggressive. He knows the strike zone, covers the plate, and just a very good hitter. And that's why he uses the whole field, and I still hope the guys are able to make a copy of that great diagram they printed up showing all the home runs he hit using foul line to foul line. Be a nice gift to give to him.
Two-two pitch from Teran. Slider high, 3-2. Teran he's ready to go. He does not take a lot of time between pitches.
Donaldson's got to be thinking it's another sweeping breaking ball. He's going to throw a fastball.
And he got a fastball in, and it's fouled just to our right.
He's talk about the leg kick of Josh Donaldson and the timing mechanism for him. And when he lifts the leg, it's a matter of lifting it. And of course, he says more lifting it than getting it down. But you can imagine somebody throws hard. You have to be disciplined enough to know the strike zone, because with that timing mechanism, you have to, more than anything, be aggressive, but also aware of whether the pitch is a strike or not.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat coming up, and it's a fastball swing and a miss. So that's the first strikeout for Teran.
And it did throw him the fastball, but because he throws a breaking ball so well, maybe just a slight hesitation or hesitancy by Donaldson, and swung through it.
So one out for Moss. Moss grounded out to the second baseman Goslin in the first, who was playing out in shallow right field. That's where he is right now as well. Here's the ranks. Teran's second in innings pitched, so he's a workhorse. 8th in the league in strikeouts, 12th in ERA. And again, this is coming off a year last year where he was 14-8. Fastball inside. Slider high. The Braves have a lot of good young arms. Maybe one of the reasons why they did not bring back Tim Hudson. Of course, Hudson was coming back from an injury, and they figured he was going to get a pretty good contract from somebody. It ended up being the Giants. But they do have good young pitchers.
So Alex Wood last night.
Yeah.
See Mike Minor tomorrow, and we're around tonight.
And the 3-1 fastball is high. So Moss is a one-out base runner for the A's here in the fourth.
You have to think also about Brian McCann not re-signing, and talk about the pitchers, but that's about $90 million. The Yankees signed him when you have Evan Gattis, his second year playing Major League Baseball. And while Brian McCann's going to hit some home runs probably at Yankee Stadium because of the short porch in right field, Evan Gattis is a pretty strong player. His young pitcher, Alex Wood, who pitched last night. A's had him on the hook in the first inning as he was a little bit wild, but the pickoff at second was very costly for the A's. So the pickoff at first tonight was not costly.
It's funny, Ray, the Braves did not sign those two guys you're talking about, McCann and Hudson, which would have been a lot of money.
Yep.
They still have the 14th highest payroll. That one's driven to left center field. Upton going back. Upton makes the catch. And Moss will head back to first. So Vogt hit that ball well. He's retired. But the Braves payroll at $110 million, and that's up from $89 million, Ray. So it's gone up from last year to this year, even though they did not sign Hudson and McCann. Now, they did sign that young man, Irvin Santana, who we certainly know all about, seen him a lot. So they're a pretty young team and pretty talented. Irvin Santana is a 12-game winner for the Braves. Line shot right into the glove of Freeman. Reddick flips his bat. He can't believe it. Side retired. So Moss walks. Nothing else for the A's. Bottom of the fourth coming up. Atlanta 2, the Athletics nothing. Braves Hall of Famer that went in this year. 305 career wins for Glavine. He was a two-time Cy Young Award winner. Also won the MVP of the 1995 World Series. Remember, most of his career was with the Braves. He did spend the last 5 years of his career with the New York Mets. He was a terrific hockey player. So he's a Hall of Famer, and he was terrific. A left-hander who could paint the corners as good as anybody.
One of 6 lefties to win 300. Of course, the great Warren Spahn, the most winning games won by a left-hander, 363. But Tom Glavine, 305, and very deserving in the Hall of Fame.
305 and 203 was his career record.
Yeah. But he could take the outside part of the plate and extend about 4 inches to 6 inches and get more strikeouts.
Yeah.
And many could say that maybe in today's world, with the so-called grading of home plate umpires and the strike zone, and that maybe he wouldn't have, because plate was extended a little bit, but he threw strikes and used the inside part of the plate very effectively. And definitely knew how to pitch.
And Tom Glavine's first full year with the Braves was 1988, and they were not good yet, and he went 7-17. But then things started to roll. Line shot, base hit left field by Justin Upton.
I think Upton has proven he can hit a fastball in. Hit it last night for a home run. Try to go inside this time, and see the inside location. And I think it's a question of maybe not getting the fastball in where he wanted it, but he's very quick in there. Last night, that ball went into left center field seats on a mislocation fastball inside. So, you know, if you have a game plan, talk about mid-game adjustments, that's a pretty good adjustment to make.
Here's Chris Johnson. Johnson dropped a single into right center field. Jaso fires to second, not in time. Upton, pretty good job of base running right there. That ball did not roll real far away from Jaso, but Upton got that good secondary lead, and then he took off.
Jaso hesitated. He thought he had blocked it to keep the runner at first, but Jaso one of the best at doing exactly what Upton did, and that is when the ball hit the ground, he had the secondary lead and took off and could not get it. And that's with a bad hamstring, too, supposedly.
So the 10th wild pitch of the year for Sonny Gray, and Johnson will try to get him over. 2-0 the count. Evan Gattis in the on-deck circle. One looped down the right field line. That could be trouble, and it is. Reddick juggles it, and now they're going to wave Upton home. The throw to the plate is there, and Upton stops and goes back. Upton was being held, and then Reddick juggled it, and then he started for home and stopped and went back, and I think that was probably the right thing to do.
Well, he was being sent by the third base coach, and again, another soft opposite field hit. And the ball checked up on Reddick. And there's the bobble. But look at the throw. Once he made the throw to the plate, I kind of wish that Upton would have tested the arm, because Josh Reddick, how about this throw? Right there, perfectly thrown, and Jaso thinking he's going to make the tag.
Upton's getting to test his hamstring in this inning. No question about that. So here is Gattis, who hit a long fly ball to left field. His first at bat. Good breaking ball in for a strike.
And Upton hit a fastball. Johnson hit a fastball. First pitch hard curve to Gattis. Sonny Gray has a couple of strikeouts. One with a fastball. Actually, both with curveballs. Got Freeman and Justin Upton.
And Gattis went around, says home plate umpire Alfonso Marquez.
Nice spot by Jaso on the hard breaking ball, and you got a power hitter just trying to make contact, especially to get a fly ball, and Gattis no stride, committed to the curveball.
To pitch in the dirt, and again nicely blocked by Jaso. So 1-2 the count to Gattis. Andrelton Simmons, shortstop, is in the on-deck circle.
Jaso keeps calling it, and not a bad idea. That's 3 in a row, 2 blocked nicely by Jaso. Calling it again.
And it is in the dirt. Gattis
check.
Did not go. 2-2 the count.
And you know what Gattis is thinking? I've seen 4 curveballs, and I'm going to keep looking fastball. And if he throws it, I'm going to crush it.
Upton at third, Johnson at first. And it is a fastball, and Gattis goes into the upper deck with a foul ball. And maybe a pitch like that, Ray, he's late because he's thinking about that breaking ball. Who knows?
I hope so. And that could be exactly right. Or Sonny Gray got a little bit extra on his fastball. Either way, it worked out. Got the foul ball.
he finally got him. He stayed with it. And Gaddis strikes out, so a big strikeout there for Sonny Gray.
Interesting position was John Jaso moved inside. And Bob Melvin's going to talk, but watch where Jaso is and the pitch. As Gaddis went down out of the strike zone. I don't know that he'd throw and start the curveball inside, but that had to break like some sort of a breaking ball. Cutter, but again, the location, the way Jaso had set up, not exactly where he expected to see the pitch.
So the meeting is over. The hitter is Andrelton Simmons, who grounded out in the second inning.
Okay, if you think with B.J. Upton and then the pitcher due up after the Simmons, and they have a base open, and they might be thinking about Upton and the pitcher, especially Upton, because he's struggling and is a strikeout victim. Swung at the first pitch that he saw in his first at bat, grounded sharply to short.
Yeah, Simmons has struck out just 40 times in 403 at bats. Simmons did not play last night, as Ray mentioned. He had a little bit of a tooth issue that kept him out of the lineup. Went to see the doctor, got that taken care of. He's also had a sore ankle.
Rays were hoping to have him available latter part of the game last night, but they did not need him with the A's not able to score much against the Staff and 4 home runs hit by the Braves.
Andrelton Simmons shows bunt, pulls the bat back.
That's a strange play because you have Upton at third, and if anything, it's more of a safety squeeze. But neither one of the runners are actually moving. Maybe a surprise that maybe Simmons just taking the pitch, figured they might be pitching around him.
So 2-0. Swing and a miss. Got a fastball right there at 95, and he may have got a little piece of it.
Well, if a hitter takes a bunt with a 1-0 count after the managers walked out to talk to the pitcher and the infielders, it'd be a total concentration on whether they're even trying to pitch to him, but that 2-0 fastball was pretty good when it hit.
So Sonny Gray with 3 strikeouts. He has not walked anybody. And he needs one here. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. 2-2.
Well, whatever Bob Melvin said to Sonny Gray has changed everything now. Back to even at 2-2, and especially with a good fastball and a sweeping breaking pitch, and he can go after the strikeout now, and maybe with the curveball. Throw it hard, not give him a chance to adjust on a slower type breaking ball. I don't know if Sonny could throw anything other than a hard curveball.
He missed with that one, sweeping outside, full count. B.J. Upton is the on-deck hitter.
The only difference now in the 3-2, you go after him. You also have Johnson if he's going to run on 3-2. Simmons a strikeout victim. It could be a strikeout, throw him out if they throw through. Curveball again.
Runner goes, and that one's hit into left field shallow, and that's going to drop for a hit. Simmons kind of out in front a little bit, reached out and kind of hooked it into left field. And that's an RBI single, and it's 3-0 Atlanta.
You know, the problem with that curveball, similar to the one that Johnson hit earlier, he left it up a little bit too much, and when Sonny has made a mistake with the breaking ball, it's like that. And when he swung and missed the one outside, then that one off the end of the bat hit too softly, as was the one by Johnson in the first inning.
So 3 hits in the inning, 6 hits in the game now for the Braves, and they lead 3-0. So B.J. Upton steps in, still only 1 out. Swing and a miss right through a fastball. Upton grounded out to short in the second inning. He was 1 for 3 last night. Tap slowly right side. Callaspo will go to second, and they get the out there, and Sogard gets flipped. So Simmons coming in hard. So Upton will be at first with a fielder's choice, 2 outs.
Well, the only play for Callaspo was to get 1 runner, and that was at second base, the lead runner there. And Sogard just really trying to get out of the way, not thinking about throwing to first, but Simmons was going to make sure he didn't.
Here's the pitcher, Teheran. And he lines one down the right field line. Foul.
Second base, Eric Sogard normally plays second base. He can see or not see the runner. This time he can. But again, he knows that it was just going to be a force at second. But he's up in it anyway.
Oh, 0-1 to Teheran. Upton runs. The ball's tapped slowly to Vogt, and grabs it. Steps on the bag. Side retired. A run on 3 hits for the Braves. So we head to the 5th. It's now the Braves 3 and the A's nothing.
Versus the Phillies game on September the 19th, presented by State Farm. You'll have VIP access the whole night, from throwing out the ceremonial first pitch, MVP infield seats, and finally a special fireworks viewing area on the field. Enter at winwithstatefarm.com. statefarm.com/Oakland A's to enter.
It's the top of the 5th inning, and the A's are trailing 3-0. Just a couple of hits through the first 4 innings for the Athletics. Games of importance tonight. Angels are at the Rangers again for game 2 of that series. The Angels won last night 5-4, and they're winning again 2-0. Pujols and Kendrick have each hit solo home runs, so a 2-0 lead in the second inning, and now it looks like it's 3-0 Angels in the second inning. So no good news from Arlington in the early going of that game. It's Matt Shoemaker for the Angels and Colby Lewis for the Rangers. Callaspo loops one fouled on the left side. Callaspo, Sogard, and Gray here in the 5th. How about the pitching matchup in Detroit tonight? Felix Hernandez for the Mariners, David Price for the Tigers. That's about as good as you're going to get. Tigers leading 2-1 in the top of the 3rd. There's a line drive, and that's a hit for Callaspo. So a good start for the A's here in the 5th inning.
Well, the Tigers got David Price, and really it worked out well for them because Anibal Sanchez went on the disabled list as a fastball. Good pitch to hit by Callaspo, and leads off this inning with a base hit.
Well, the Mariners are now 11 games over 500. They've won 9 out of 10, so they're hanging around in the division, and right now the Mariners are the second wild card team. So a couple of good ball games that we'll keep an eye on as they continue on.
As recent as August the 11th, the A's had a 1-game lead in the division.
Yeah.
They have not relinquished the lead, and back to 1 game tonight.
Lofted to shallow left. Upton is in, and he's got it. So Sogard is retired, and that's the first out here in the 5th inning. Yeah, it got to 1, and then I believe it went all the way back up to 5, did it not?
Yeah.
And now back, and we're talking about the A's lead in the division, and now it's down to 1. For the A's, this is game number 123. So after tonight, they have 39 games left, and 10 of those 39 are against the Angels.
A's had a 6-game lead back on June the 19th.
So Sonny Gray with his second sacrifice in the game. Nicely done. So the A's have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs for Coco Crisp. Those red hot Royals are winning again 1-0 in the 5th inning in Minnesota. The Royals have won 11 out of 12. And they have a 1.5 game lead in the Central. So A's saw how hot they are, and they're just continuing it. So here's Coco, who's 0 for 2 and 0 for 6 in the series. And the A's need a clutch hit. Just sometimes that first run can be the toughest one to get, especially when you're struggling offensively. And Coco pops it up. Coming back is Gaddis, but it'll be into the seats.
You can hear maybe Teheran saying, up, up. Yeah, we know. Where is it, though, when it's up, up? Fortunately, it's nighttime, and Gaddis was able to see that the ball was up and into the seats. That's a belt-high fastball.
And a late timeout call. Teheran threw it anyways. So no pitch. The count stays 1-1. Slider drops low, 2-1. That one's hit hard to Freeman. He's got it to the bag. Steps on first. Side retired. So the A's do not score. Bottom of the 5th coming up. Atlanta 3 and the A's nothing.
Braves tonight. There is Freddie Freeman with a double down the right field line in the first inning, and then Johnson right behind him, softly hitting a curveball to right center field, made it 2-0. And then Simmons with a 3-2 curveball, lofting one into left field in front of Brandon Moss. And Teheran has been pretty good himself as he has gone through 5 innings. And how about that punch out on a 3-2 fastball to Josh Donaldson?
So the A's work to do as the Braves come to bat leading 3-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning. They will have the top of their order: Hayward, Gosselin, and Freeman. No walks and 3 strikeouts for Sonny Gray. First pitch in for Hayward. Hayward 1 for 6 in the series. This one is skied on the infield left side of the diamond. Sogard has it. 1 away here in the 5th. And that'll bring up Gosselin. Gosselin had a couple of hits last night. He's got a hit and a run scored tonight.
Well, the Braves were talking about him coming up earlier when it really didn't mean as much, and now he comes back and it does mean a lot. Remember, they had Dan Uggla here, the Braves, and a lot of money spent for something they never really got out of Uggla and what they had gotten before.
And they hung with Uggla about as long as you could. I mean, they're paying Uggla next year and a lot of money. We're talking $10-12 million.
And you're right, they're paying it because the Giants ended up signing him, but they waited to clear waivers. That means he's a free agent, and the club that had signed him, the Braves, responsible for his contract. Can you say Jim Johnson?
So 2-1 to Gosselin. That one tapped slowly toward Donaldson. He charges, scoops, throws on the run. Got him. Heck of a play by Donaldson.
Well, he does it so easy. It makes it look so easy. A hard play, kind of playing in front of the bag or even with it, but to have to kind of circle around, make sure he got in a good position to utilize a strong arm. He does it and gets a speedy runner. Well, Gosselin can get down the line very quickly. But Donaldson, I mean, you look at that technique of being able to go around the ball a little bit, so he was in position to make the throw to first base and does it nicely.
So here's Freddie Freeman. Freeman doubled in a run and scored in the first, struck out in the third. And this one's hit high in the air down the left field line. And it's just into the seats.
Interesting seeing the A's utilize the shift with 3 to the right side for a hitter who kind of uses the whole field. He hits the ball where it's pitched, and Freddie Freeman, you can see the 3 to the right side, only Donaldson on the left side, huge hole on the left side. So you almost have to think they're going to pitch him to where he's going to pull the ball, similar to what he did in the first inning. Only that was past Stephen Vogt. Chipper Jones, who for many years hit number 3 in the batting order of the Braves, says that this young man is perfectly suited for that number 3 spot, which is usually designated for the best hitter on the ball club. And thinking about Freeman, he said he wants to be in that spot.
Yes, he did. As Diaz rings him up. So good inning for Sonny Gray. Just 10 pitches. Finishes it with a strikeout. And we're moving to the 6th. Braves 3, A's nothing. Tweet your photo to CSNCA Fan Photo. Put your name down in your hometown for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's all brought to you by AT&T. Our fan photo tonight comes from Haley from Suisun City and another young A's fan. We're seeing a lot of those in our AT&T fan photos, which we like.
I think that's right on 80 as you go through Vacaville, through that area. That's right. Area up to Sacramento.
Heading up toward Sacktown.
Yep. Past the nut tree, boy. Is it still there?
I think it is.
Train ride, the nut tree.
6th inning, A's trailing 3-0. The All-Star Julio Teheran has been very good. But time for the A's. They got 4 more at-bats in this ballgame. First pitch is a strike. Angels still leading the Rangers 3-0 that game in the 3rd inning. Tigers leading the Mariners 2-1 in the 6th. Strike 2. Jaso fouls that one back. Jaso has hit a fly ball to center field, and he is grounded out. Atlanta coming in just 2 games back in that National League wild card race. This one hit high in the air, right to B.J. Upton in center field. So out number 1. Well, Teheran has one of the best home ERAs in the National League. 1.88 in this ballpark. Clayton Kershaw, no surprise there. Johnny Cueto's just having a sensational year. Tyson Ross likes pitching at Petco. Can't blame him. Most pitchers do. Here's Donaldson, who takes a slider for a strike. Donaldson has one of the A's 3 hits. He singled back in the first inning.
You know, you're talking about fans in Milwaukee standing outside waiting for Hank Aaron, like you did, right? You said you did.
Oh, yeah.
Were you waiting for an autograph or just to see him?
I just wanted to see him.
See what the man looked like?
I just wanted to see him.
Josh Donaldson did it here following the Braves. And he's trying to get an autograph of David Justice.
Huh.
And he waited and waited. And Justice walked right by.
Oh, that hurts.
And Jonas Donaldson said he was so disappointed. His mother said, then you just remember when you make it that you will never turn down somebody for an interview. And you know what happened? He had met David Justice. Justice signed it. And he said to Josh, better late than never. And gave him a signed autograph baseball.
That's great.
But, you know, it's a great lesson whenever you're kind of snubbed. In the case of Josh Donaldson, I mean, that's a lesson learned, because I saw him actually sign an autographs before the game while the players were out on the field, and he was along the sideline signing autographs. And I guess you could say you never want somebody to say that about you.
Nope.
He's out there signing.
Well, I was one of probably 5,000 people waiting outside. Remember the hallway at County Stadium
right.
by the visiting clubhouse? You walked around the corner and then outside. Well, you couldn't. You were jammed in there. Hank was nowhere to be found.
I was like that with Stan Musial.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Same
right?
thing.
I just wanted to see him.
That's right. I just autograph, forget it. Just I couldn't open my mouth if I did see him. But Stan the man, unfortunately, the late Stan the man passed away recently.
Popped up, and that's going to be playable for Freeman, who backs up. Well, I've never met Hank Aaron. I would love to meet him sometime, and I'm afraid if I did, I would probably just stare at him.
Well, as I told you before, I had the opportunity to be behind home plate in an exhibition game with him standing there, and I was like that.
Yeah.
So you're the man. You're the Hammered Hank. But with Stan Musial at Sportsman's Park, they were on the third base dugout and then walk up and walk over this ramp that had a big cage where they walk over, and you could stand down in the corner and look up and watch all the Cardinals cross over like a bridge into the clubhouse.
So you were literally looking up to him.
I was just standing right there and looking up to all of them. And listening to Harry Carey, because I'd studied when I got an opportunity to go to St. Louis, I would listen because of his transistor radios, and I'd listen to Harry Carey call games when I was home, and I'm thinking, man, these Cardinals are the greatest hitters in the world. They hit home runs all over the place.
Every time.
Yeah, but then I'm in the park, and I'm sitting there listening on a transistor radio, and I hear Harry Carey, there's a long drive. And I look, the shortstop's backing up in shallow left and making the play, and I'm going, and I finally met Harry, and I said that, and he said, I had every one of those guys home run hitters just to bring people to the park.
You know what? Not
and
a lot
worked.
of TV back then.
No, like zero.
That's great.
But I remember that, and Harry said, hey, man, I had to sell it. And he sold it big time.
He did.
And his grandson is a couple booths over.
That's right.
Chip Carey.
Don Sutton right next to us.
That's right. Hall of Famer.
Doing radio.
Yeah. Jim Powell.
Jim Powell.
Yeah. He was with the great Bob Uecker in Milwaukee. Jim Powell was, and Been down there, I think it said 6 years from the area, so he got to come here. But he said what a thrill it was to sit next to Chip Caray. Skip, his father, unfortunately passed away, and Harry, his grandfather. Long-time Cubs, Cardinals then Cubs. And Chip's got the dapper hat on. Chip was with the Seattle Mariners. John Smoltz and Joe Simpson, who's been around forever for the Braves.
Close pitch. 3-2. Here's Don Sutton. 324,
yeah.
huh?
Played for the A's in 1985.
Three-two pitch, missed inside. So a two-out walk to Moss. He's walked twice in this game.
Don Sutton was starting a game for the A's in '85. And you know the 580 turns into 238 to the 880.
Yeah.
Sutton was trying to get to the park. Of course, pitchers on the day they're pitching show up a little bit later. And the story goes that he was driving and there was a traffic jam. And there was a police officer near him. And he stopped him and said, "I'm pitching today. I can't get to the park." He said, "Follow me," give him a police escort to the Coliseum so he could start.
Those
you don't see
police
that
officers of Oakland.
That's right. They made sure that the green and gold taken care of. And they told him also, "Don, next time leave a little bit earlier."
Yeah.
Because traffic for a day game, getting to the 2:30, that was before they expanded it.
Joe Simpson, you're right. He's been here a long time. 23rd season.
Yeah, he worked with the Carays, Skip Caray. He was over at Fulton County Stadium. He would play with the Mariners.
Of course, Ray, sadly, Pete Van Wieren just passed away just recently, and he was a long-time Braves announcer. Very popular here.
I think that's the broadcast booth next door, right?
Yeah, 33 years Pete Van Wieren was an announcer for the Braves. 3-0 now to Vogt. In fact, I know last night the Braves, they don't have them on the uniforms tonight, but last night they had this little patch that just said Pete.
Yeah.
Three and 0 to Vogt. And that went in for a strike. Pete Van Wieren had been retired for a while.
Yeah. I don't know the exact year that Skip Caray passed away, but I think we had come in here. I think we're going to find out just a second, but it seemed like the A's were just here.
That's right, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
so that
when we were here in 2008, the A's were here, and we were talking to them, and it wasn't long after that. But a great history of broadcasters with Harry, Skip, and now Chip. The Caray family. It's got to be a great thrill for Chip Caray to follow grandfather and father.
So 3-2, 2 outs. Moss will take off. And here's the pitch to Vogt. Foul back.
It's around right now with this count on Vogt. He does have a 3-0 lead. And after walking Brandon Moss, you'd have to think Stephen Vogt's going to get a fastball. He got one 3-2 and fouled it back. Stephen has 7 home runs. He's come up with some big hits since he looked so great in that 1914 uniform. Forget about the dead ball era.
No, we need it. Something good. And he belts this one to deep center field. Upton going back at the wall, and that baby's gone. Vogt has homered, and the A's are on the board. It's 3-2. So a 2-out walk and then a Vogt home run.
And when you fall behind a hitter or hitters, and then you do that, Stephen Vogt, maybe after fouling the first fastball 3-2, said, "Gonna get another one." And he trotted as if he knew he got it all, and that is the big part of the park. That's about 383.9 at right center. And B.J. Upton, great jumping ability, timed his leap, but Just could not catch it. So what a big blow. 19th home run. Great stat earlier we showed. 18 home runs given up. Make it 19 now. And Stephen Vogt gets his 8th. And he is perfectly suited for those uniforms in 1914. And that's a big hit. That might wake up the boys in the dugout.
Let's see if it does.
Yep. After 2 outs. You go back to the 10th of August against the Twins. The A's, in the last 6 games before tonight, only 1 walk had scored. And Brandon Moss walks in this game in front of Stephen Vogt and scores.
So here's Reddick. So for Vogt, his 8th home run, he now has 31 RBIs. First pitch to Reddick is outside. Navarro is the right-hander. Avalon is the left-hander. Shift is on for Reddick.
And Josh Reddick has made his signature strong throw to the plate on Upton that Upton was not running, showing his accuracy and his strong arm, and I think for his friends and family, try to do something with the bat.
And that one is a bit low. So 2-0. Teheran all of a sudden missing the strike zone a little bit, and when he has come in, he's been hurt. This is the 26th pitch of this inning. And now it's 3-0. So 98 pitches. That one right in there for a strike, 90 miles an hour. Strike 2 call. Reddick thought it was a little high. Drops the bat at home plate.
Well, it was in the what looked like belt high, not a bad pitch, but the consistency or something that Alfonso Marquez had not been calling the pitch. That's the reason Reddick put his bat down.
3-2 is popped up, and it should be into the seats. And it will be right behind the A's dugout.
Well, Stephen Vogt fouled back a 3-2 fastball. You can hear a fan of Josh Reddick yelling, cheering for him.
So pitch number 102 coming up from Julio Teheran. This one popped up again, foul.
If you know what happens, and you can see how long it took for Teheran and Gattis to get on the same page. And sometimes, as a hitter, you start thinking, "Oh, we got a fastball. He's 3-2. He's wild." And then the longer he takes to get a sign, you know he's shaking, and they can't get on the same page. Then you start to have your mind wander a little bit, and as a result, maybe just a little bit tardy on a fastball that he normally would be aggressive swinging at. And see, he's shaking again. He's shaking off a couple and maybe shaking off the same pitch.
And this one hit high in the air to right field, but it's going to stay in the park. Hayward is over. And Hayward squeezes it side retired. But the A's are on the board as Stephen Vogt with a 2-run homer. So as we head to the bottom of the 6th, it's now the Braves 3 and the A's 2. 2015, he will be eligible for the first time for baseball's Hall of Fame. His career numbers, he's a 213-game winner. He also has 154 saves. And he won a Cy Young in 1996. Most of his career was with the Braves. He also played just a little bit with the Red Sox and the Cardinals. John Smoltz was a closer for 3 years for the Braves and then went back to starting. In fact, his first year as a closer in 2002, 55 saves. So he was terrific in that role, but went back to being a starter.
Really, you think of both Dennis Eckersley and John Smoltz similar in their paths. Eck originally was a starter and then became a closer, 390 saves, and Smoltz a starter, closer, back to the starting role, handling both roles very well. I'd ask him, of course, as you mentioned, the eligibility in 15, and he said, you know, a lot of people have been talking about the Hall of Fame. He said, don't really think about it. He was back working for MLB during the Hall of Fame inductions, actually interviewed Glavine and Maddox, and he said, once I got in the surroundings, he said, wow, really started thinking about how special it would be to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'd say there's a pretty good chance he's going to join 3 members this year, a manager and 2 pitchers, and there's Chipper Jones in a little while, a couple years.
Fastball way high. Well, of course, those 3 guys, including the manager, Bobby Cox, they're all part of that unbelievable stretch of 14 consecutive division championships, which is, I don't know that that'll ever be done again.
No.
I mean, that's unbelievable. 1991 to 2005, and of course 1994 was the strike, but every year they won the division. Whether it be they were first couple of years of that would have been the National League West. It was as impressive as a run as you'll ever see from a baseball team. And John Smoltz was right in the middle of it all. He won the Cy Young in 1996. As they won it all in 1995. '50 save season, 20 win season. Only 2 guys to do it, Smoltz and Eck.
One's in it already at Cooperstown, the other soon to be there.
And it's a leadoff walk to Upton.
And no chance to swing at any of those fastballs as they were too much out of the strike zone.
So that's the first walk by Sonny Gray, and that'll bring up Chris Johnson, who's got a couple of hits. But that stretch for the Braves also included a whole bunch of World Series appearances. They lost in 1991. They lost in 92. Of course, they won in 95. Lost in 96 and lost in 1999. But I think the one in 1996 is always going to haunt the Braves. Because they won the first 2 games of that series against the Yankees by scores of 12-1 and 4-0. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to sweep this. They looked unbelievable the first 2 games of that series. They lost game 3 to the Yankees. And then in game 4, right here in Atlanta, the Braves had a 6-0 lead after 5 innings. And Jim Leyritz hit a 3-run homer in the 8th inning to tie it, and then the Yankees won it. The series is tied, and the Yankees won games 5, game 6, and just like that, the Yankees had won it all, and I think the Braves were stunned. 6-0 lead after 5 innings.
A hanging breaking ball, I think, was thrown.
Was it Mark Wohlers?
Wohlers, I think it was. So a hanging breaking ball, kept fouling off pitches and hung one. I think Ed Sprague playing for the Braves there.
And it's funny, and I think we experienced it around the athletics too. The year you win the World Series is great, and you think about it and you enjoy it. But sometimes it's hard to get a World Series loss out of your mind.
Yeah, you're right. Sid Edsbury, he was with the Toronto Blue Jays, had a big home run, I think, against the Braves.
In the World Series,
yeah. Exactly. Edsbury Jr.
And Johnson almost swung at that.
Now that was the hard fastball, the sinker down and in that it swung at one earlier in the game, fouled it off. Well, it's 3-2. See if Upton runs. Actually, a couple of innings ago, B.J. Ram with Johnson also running on a 3-2 pitch. Justin Upton runs on this, then we'll forget about the hamstring issue.
Yeah. Dan Montero is throwing in the A's bullpen. And Justin Upton, he's a big guy, but he runs extremely well. Maybe not 100% right now, but we'll see if he takes off. He does. And the pitch is lined to left center field, and that's a hit. Upton is going to be waved home. And the throw is cut off, and Upton scores from first base on the single. He was running on the pitch, and the Braves get one of those runs right back, and it's 4-2. So Chris Johnson has really hurt Sonny Gray.
Well, Sonny Gray hurt himself in this inning, walking Upton on a 3-2, and then 3-2 to Johnson with the fastball. And it's right there to hit, and with the base runner on the move, no chance for a strike him out, throw him out. So essentially, with the ball into left center, Upton was almost at second base by the time the ball was picked up, or even before that, and there was just no chance. And he's running just fine, found the baseball, and as he approached third, he was going to be able to score easily. And that hurts because the A's came to within one, and now a walk and an RBI single. And right back to 2-run difference.
And you just kind of give the momentum you had for a short period of time right back. So here's Evan Gattis. So the leadoff walk scores. Swing and a miss. As Gray took a little off that one. And they check with Ted Barrett. So after having a 3-up, 3-down 5th inning, Sonny Gray gives up a run here in the 6th. That one in for a strike, 2-2. Angels have increased their lead. It's now 5-0 in the 4th inning.
Nate Buckler and Gattis could not pull the trigger. A good curveball from Sonny Gray.
And Gattis swings and misses, and they're going to throw to second base, and the throw is high, and the runner is safe. That's Johnson. Gattis is out. He swung and missed, even though the pitch was in the dirt. But Johnson took off, and he just got to second base.
Yeah, Upton did it earlier on a ball in the dirt. This time, though, Jason reacted quicker and got to the ball. Johnson going on first move, and with the high throw, no chance for it to actually be close enough to get Johnson. So Casper caught the ball trying to deke Johnson into leaving second base, but he wouldn't buy it.
So here's Andrelton Simmons, who takes a strike. So the Braves with a runner in scoring position, and they get base running by Johnson. Simmons had an RBI single in the fourth inning. Fastball is high, and the count 1-1. So Sonny Gray at 98 pitches with one out here in the fifth inning. Make that the sixth inning.
Sonny did not look back to Johnson, and I've seen him spin, and there is just one out. You don't want to see him be able to walk to third on a stolen base. You have to at least look him back to second. Didn't do it again.
Line drive, base hit right field. Johnson will be held up as Reddick hits the cutoff man perfectly. So Simmons has his second hit, and that's 8 hits now off Sonny Gray.
Well, got him in the curveball his last at bat. Fastball this time for him to go to right field. That is perfect. Great job of hitting to the opposite field. And that's going to hit. Bob Melvin's coming out.
So B.J. Upton is the hitter. And there's a little action on the field, so we'll just let that take care of itself. Bob Melvin's going to wait till the security guards do what they need to do. Well, it's the heat of the battle, but I got to be honest with you, it's hard not to laugh at what's going on right now. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair expert. So Sonny Gray done after 5 1/3. Dan Otero coming in.
Presented by Ubisoft. When the A's take on the Angels Sunday, August 24th. This unique backpack is designed by pitchers Sean Doolittle and Ryan Cook. By the way, August 24th, that's a week from tomorrow, big weekend series against the Angels. 10,000 fans will receive this beautiful backpack upon entry, so be sure to get your tickets now at athletics.com/tickets or by calling 877-493-BALL. A's Bullpen Unicorn Backpack presented by Ubisoft. Look for your dream job at ubi.com. think there's a fan looking for a job at UBI.com.
Oh, man.
Or Mike Fee should be. Sonny Gray, though, has to be disappointed because while he pitched well, and just after his club had scored 2 runs to make it a 1-run game, leadoff walk, base hit, strikeout, base hit. 9 pitches later, he turns it over to Dan Otero, and he's trying to get a ground ball with the speedy B.J. Upton.
So Johnson at third, Simmons at first. And they'll throw, and the throw is knocked down by Donaldson as it was a little wild. And Donaldson made a nice play to not let it get past him. That would have been a disaster.
Yeah. Well, Johnson not that far off the bag and looked like at first base. Simmons thought about going to second. Donaldson thought about throwing across the diamond. Did neither.
The first pitch fastball right there for a strike to B.J. Upton. Sometimes the first pitch you see is the best one to hit.
That's right.
If that's the case, Upton just took it. Upton a ground out, and then he reached on a fielder's choice. 0 for 2.
It looks like Giron is finished, at least by the way it looks right now. There's a pinch hit in the on-deck circle for the pitcher spot.
Tommy La Stella, the left-handed hitter, is the gentleman in the on-deck circle. That's David Carpenter, so that's who we're going to see, it looks like, in the 7th inning. And Upton swings at a pitch that was way inside and almost hit him.
Well, that's a hard sinker that Dan Otero throws, and he's had some rest, so he's got a little bit extra on his fastball, and that almost, you're right, hit him the right kneecap as he swung and missed the sinker. So you go hard slider away out of the strike zone, go back down and in with a sinker, trying to get the ground ball to get 2.
And it's bounced over the head right to Callaspo. Steps on second, throws to first. Got him. Double play.
Well, there's a strong arm of Callaspo, fortunately, as he took it himself.
So the Braves get just the one. Could have been worse. Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by the Oakland Raiders. Season and single game tickets are on sale now. Call 1-800-RAIDERS or visit Raiders.com today. That's Ty Cobb, and he was known as the Georgia Peach from the great state of Georgia. So how many players, Ray, have a statue in 2 different stadiums? He's got one in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And he's got one here. Trivia question.
That's good.
When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. The new pitcher is David Carpenter. We saw him last night. We were impressed. 1 inning, a couple of strikeouts. Very hard thrower.
Does this statue of Cobb have a number on the back, or is?
I don't think so. I'm saying no.
I'm saying no too.
So Callaspo, who turned that nice double play to end the bottom of the 6th inning, leads off here in the 7th. Right back to Carpenter. Good fastball that jammed Callaspo, and that's 1 out. So Teheran Dunn, 103 pitches. Just 4 hits off him for the A's, and Vogt the 2-run homer in the 6th. Tigers are leading the Mariners 4-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Again, that's Price for Detroit, King Felix for Seattle.
Well, that means Felix 7-2 is gone.
That's right. Rangers are coming back. It's now the Angels 5, the Rangers 2. Bottom of the 4th inning, and the Rangers still batting.
It would have been a 5-4 last night, so the Rangers did come back after the Angels had a pretty good lead. A's last 4 games are in Arlington against the Rangers, and I think, and you say the Mariners and Angels play the final weekend, final 3. Because the Angels, or maybe 4, because the Angels are in Oakland for the final 3 home games for the Athletics. I'll tell you more about that in a moment after we tell you that the A's will host the Chevron STEM Zone at O.Co Coliseum Saturday, August 23rd. Chevron created the STEM Zone to help deepen kids' interest in science, technology, or deepen kids' interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics outside the classroom by showing its applications in the real world. The fun and hands-on baseball-related learning exhibits will be located behind sections 201 and 217 during the August 23rd game against Los Angeles Angels. For tickets, visit athletics.com/tickets.
So Abad loosening up. Sam Fuld pinch hitting. And the first pitch to Fuld is a strike. You're correct, Ray. The Angels last week of the season, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Oakland, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Seattle.
Oh, at Seattle. Okay.
That's the Angels.
Yeah. And the A's will play the Angels the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Go to Arlington, play the Rangers 4 games starting the Thursday.
And the Mariners, right before they go home to finish that last weekend against the Angels, they have a very long road trip. They have let's see, it's an 11-game road trip. Mariners will be at LA for 4, at Houston for 3, at Toronto for 4. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at home to the Angels. And again, that's at the end of the season. So that's a long road trip. 11 games. 1-2 to Fuld. Swing and a miss, struck him out. So that's another very impressive inning for David Carpenter. 3 up, 3 down. 7th inning stretch from Turner Field. Braves 4, A's 2. Fernando Abad is the new pitcher. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Abad making appearance number 56. Abad pitched last night, an inning, gave up a hit, had a strikeout, nothing else. So he will pitch the bottom of the 7th inning. So the Athletics, with just 4 hits in the game, that's the same amount they had last night.
And that's one of the real problems for the Athletics. We've talked about the pitching. Of course, 4 runs tonight by Sonny Gray, 3, and then settled down but gave up 1 in the last inning. But we've been accustomed to seeing the A's offense really explode, score a lot of runs, but that has not been the case lately.
But if you're not scoring a lot of runs, I mean, the A's generally get very good pitching from their starters.
Yep.
But if one of them is a little bit off, and I think tonight Sonny Gray probably a little bit off, but then you're putting a lot of pressure on the offense.
Yep.
So this is the pinch hitter, Emilio Bonifacio.
Dan Otero, what a job again. Otero coming in and getting the ground ball double play.
Bonifacio is a switch hitter, and he's hitting for the pitcher. Bonifacio come over at the trade deadline from the Cubs. Can be a very valuable player. He plays the outfield, he plays the middle infield, lots of speed,
and for a while was leading off.
Yeah. Fastball is inside. His total season numbers 276. Couple of home runs, 17 stolen bases. Hayward to follow, then Gosselin here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Good pitch, fastball moving away, and Bonifacio strikes out.
Well, great two-seam fastball, especially with our center field camera. Watch the movement on his fastball. Starts there, looks good, takes off out of the strike zone. And that's a perfect pitch to throw, especially when you had 1 and 2, and Abad just nailed it perfectly.
Well, there's that last 5 feet,
that's
right?
That's right.
Greg Maddux, you said that's when I want my ball to move the most.
And it does as a hitter. Looks so good. You're thinking, there it is, straight, and whoop, and it's gone. And Maddux could do magic with his fastballs, both sides of the plate.
Hayward takes inside. Hayward is 0 for 3 tonight. He's 1 for 7 in the series, and against left-handed pitching this year, 164. 303 against righties, 164 against lefties. Good breaking ball and back-to-back sliders, and Hayward has watched them both, and they've both been called strikes.
Well, you like to see the knees buckle just a little, and that's a knee buckler, and that's lefty on lefty with a hard slider. For the life of me, I cannot understand why a lefty throwing to a left-handed hitter would ever throw anything slow, especially with a breaking ball. And when they buckle their knees, as Hayward did on this second slider, did not want to let him have another opportunity. Harry Steinbach got hit face just like Hayward did, and wear the same type of mask to protect where he got hit. Steiny hit so well, he wanted to keep it on even after he was healed.
And there he chases the slider, and Abad gets him for out number 2.
That's a very, very good chase slider, and that's how you want to throw a lefty. Hayward, really not much of a chance. He opened up and did not want to have anything to do with anything on the inner part of the plate as he was opening up and got a hard slider outside.
So Goslin will hit. Goslin is 1 for 3. He singled and scored in the first and then has grounded out twice. Three for 7 in the series. Jordan Walden is up throwing. We saw him last night. Base hit. Sogard was actually pulled over towards second base, which is a bit strange. Looks like they were really playing Goslin to hit the ball up the middle.
But you know what happens? There's a case of a hitter. First pitch missed, and so you can set up defensively how you think he's going to hit, but if he loads up a little bit earlier looking for a pitch and he gets it, as Goslin did, he can pull it away from where the defense is set up.
So Goslin has 4 hits in this series, and here's Freddie Freeman. Freeman rips one foul. Well, he got a pitch to hit there. Fastball down a little bit. Double in a run in the first and later scored in that inning, and then he has struck out twice since then. Full shift on. Donaldson playing actually over near second base, between second base and the normal shortstop spot. But the outfield is shifted toward left center a little bit. Good take by Freeman, 2-1. Swing, got a miss. He went to the breaking ball and Freeman missed it.
Another good breaking ball, sharp, thrown hard, and pretty good hitter. Freeman to miss a pitch like that.
Well, the Braves have 3 guys with over 100 strikeouts each. Both the Upton brothers are well over 100. Freeman has struck out 106 times. They have struck out the 3rd most times in the National League. So pretty good power, but they will strike out. Runner goes, and Freeman, no, says Laz Diaz. Boy, he looked like he went around. And it ends up Goslin was running, and he gets a stolen base.
This is an angle that I think if you watch this, we'll see what is if bat head goes through, because it looked like, see, kept it back at a different angle towards the backside, and that's probably why Laz Diaz called it a no swing.
So now full count. And he takes the slider. Pretty good at bat by Freeman. So Goslin got his first home run last night, gets his first career stolen base tonight. And Bob Melvin's coming out. And Bob Melvin's going to go to the bullpen. So Cook's going to face Upton with 2 on and 2 out. And that's the matchup. When we come back, Braves leading 4-2. Sin City, A Name to Kill For, in theaters everywhere, coming up on Friday. There's downtown Atlanta. We're just a little bit outside of downtown, the ballpark here, Turner Field. Braves trying to make it 2 in a row over the Athletics. They lead 4-2. And Cook's job is to get Justin Upton. 2 runners on, 2 out. So Cook 1-1 with a 2.95 ERA.
And another inning that started with 2 strikeouts, then a base hit and a walk, and A's in trouble. And a pitching change again. Abad with 2 strikeouts to start the inning. Third out is always the best to get, hardest to get, but in this case the A's want to keep it at just a 2-run deficit. Mario Prieto doing some explaining.
Yeah. So Cook back out there. Cook has been on a great roll, but he really struggled in Kansas City on the Thursday afternoon when he got knocked around pretty good. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that. Inside to Upton.
All right, just elevated some pitches on Thursday in Kansas City. Ended up getting hurt. But the nice run that he had been on, where he's lights out, sometimes it does come to an end abruptly.
Strike on the outside corner. Goslin and Freeman are your runners. Well, Cook is the 4th pitcher of the night. Gray, Otero, Abad, and now Cook. So 1-2.
An unhittable pitch. Slider, hard. And Upton, when a hitter recognizes, or he thinks he recognizes a pitch in the strike zone, then all of a sudden it's sharply breaking away. It's just you made the commitment and no chance to make any contact.
So 1-2. And that one's hit toward left center field. Moss on the move. Moss on the move. And he makes the catch. Nice play by Moss, and the Braves do not score. They strand a pair. 8th inning coming up. Atlanta 4, the A's 2. Ace Baseball and Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Prism. Now your team can collaborate at a whole new level with video walls from Prism. Learn how at prism.com. So it is the top of the 8th inning. So the A's will have to come back if they're going to win this one. Braves leading 4-2. So it's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Jordan Walden comes in. Walden pitched last night.
Well, you have to hope that Walden, of course, Carpenter, but last night was a 5-run lead. Tonight, a 2-run lead. Maybe that can make a difference if the A's can get something going. Get a couple of runners on base, get another big hit, because he got it from Stephen Vogt, but he's down in the batting order a little bit.
So Coco Crisp to lead it off, 0 for 3. And now it's 0-2. Maybe an important inning too for the A's, Ray, because the Braves have one of the best closers in all of baseball, and Craig Kimbrell. Yep. He is good.
I was thinking the same thing, because this is a big inning. It shortens the game, and of course it seems like Freddy Gonzalez has the same setup for back end of the bullpen with a lead, just like Kansas City, and we saw what happened there. Scary.
Kimbrell last pitched on Wednesday, so he's had a couple of days off, but he is as tough of an at-bat as there is in all of baseball.
So you're saying 100-mile-an-hour straight fastball is hard to hit?
Yeah, and a better slider.
That's right.
1-2 pitch is high. So 2-2, Jay Soto follow, and then Donaldson. David Carpenter with a 3-up, 3-down 7th inning for the Braves. That's Roger McDowell, who's the pitching coach for Atlanta. Very good major league reliever for a long time.
Yeah, it's a little fun in the game.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he's giving signs, because not a runner on base, which might indicate that he's called some signs for Evan Gattis. So he's done it again. If he's because usually the signs are given from the bench only when there's runner on base. So he just cheered him on that time, clapped his hands.
2-2 again. Coco reaches forward, rolls at foul. Moved everybody around in the dugout except Roger McDowell. He's locked in, man. That is a good game face right there. If you said hi to him right now, he would just
snap your head off.
Another foul ball by Coco Crisp. Good job by Coco battling the hard-throwing Jordan Walden. So 9th pitch of the at-bat coming up, and here it is. And Coco hits it right up the middle, but Simmons is there. Flips to first. 1 away.
Fans, even if you aren't an A's season ticket holder, you can still get 2014 postseason rights. Just place a deposit on a 2015 A's ticket plan and secure your place in line for 2014 postseason tickets. For more information, call 510-638-GO-A's or go to athletics.com/deposit.
So Jaso steps in, but it'd be nice to have Jaso get aboard, so Donaldson would represent the tying run.
I think that's the key. You're right. Somebody get on just so one swing of the bat can tie the game. Because regardless of what happens, the A's would see Kimbrell in the 9th inning anyway, even if it is tied. But maybe just for one inning. So the key is to try to tie it.
So 1-1 to Jaso. Jaso is 0 for 3. A couple of fly balls to center field and a ground out to first. Jaso checks his swing. He did not go. The Twins beat the Royals 4-1, trying to slow down red hot Kansas City. So that series even at a game apiece.
And now you're going to tell me the Tigers won?
Tigers are winning 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning over Felix Hernandez.
And I would think the Royals went in that game against the Twins thinking Felix pitching for the Mariners.
No question.
Against the Tigers, got a pretty good chance to do something, but doesn't always go the way you hope.
Hernandez just went 5 innings tonight, gave up a couple of runs on 7 hits. So that breaks his stretch of going 7 or more innings, allowing 2 runs or less. I believe it was 16 consecutive starts. Heck of a run. 3-2 pitch, drill to center. Upton's going back. Upton's going back, and that baby's gone. 4-3.
Man, talk about a shot. Straight away center field for John Jaso. And when you do that, fastball, took some sliders and sat on the fastball, got the fastball and crushed it. The straightaway center, and Upton with his back to the infield, no chance. He didn't even jump at this one.
So a 1-run game. And here's Donaldson.
Okay, so been struggling. 26th of July at Texas with Tepich pitching. With the back-to-back home runs with Cespedes. So maybe that'll get him going. Good at bat, good swing. Straight away center with a fastball.
Outside corner, 96 miles an hour for a strike. Got the corner again. So 1-2.
A good fastball outside corner and just rear back and throw hard. Not much more than a 4-seam fastball. That's what Jaso hit.
That fastball just a bit high. So the count is even 2-2 with Moss in the on-deck circle. So the A's with a couple of home runs tonight, accounting for all their runs. Vogt a 2-run shot in the 6th. Jaso a solo shot here in the 8th. Got him swinging. Stayed away from Donaldson pretty much the whole at bat. So Donaldson now 1 for 4.
You're right, staying away, and figured that if he's going to hit it out, he wants it to be hit to center field or the opposite field. Donaldson's capable, but not that time.
Walden kicks the first pitch to Moss. Swing and a miss. Power on power right there. Moss a couple of walks tonight and a run score. He has also grounded out. There's the shift. Gosselin way out in shallow right field.
Best part about this shift, if he could hit one over Hayward's head in the seats. That's right field and tie game. Sitting on 23 home runs is Brandon Moss.
outside with an off-speed pitch. So now it's 3-1. Almost seems like an off-speed pitch that's pretty straight at 87 miles an hour is probably not a great pitch to throw.
No, actually, it's kind of a batting practice fastball, especially after throwing mid-90s.
And now it's 3-2. Now, if it's got some downward movement, that's one thing, but that pitch was pretty straight. So 3-2. Payoff pitch. And it just missed outside, and Moss walks.
In the 6th inning, a 2-out walk to Brandon Moss. And then the home run by Stephen Vogt off Tehran. And this to right center on the fastball, 3-2. And of course, at that time, it was a 3-0 lead. That made it 3-2. Stephen Vogt up now with Braves in a 1-run lead. So now take a left center triple or double and tie the game that way. Might not get a fastball to pull. Dow doesn't want to look at anybody.
Yeah. Anthony Varvaro. Varvaro getting ready in case Walden continues to give the A's opportunities here. So Moss, the runner at first. Outfield is playing very deep. Fastball high. BJ Upton's is way out there in center field.
And they're playing no doubles, but in this park, I don't know if that's possible because it's so huge in the gaps.
Missed again, 2-0.
He's going to stay out there. That's why for Stephen Vogt, the thought of trying to pull a ball as it has last at bat to right center. If he gets one inside, it's going to be a mistake.
Two-0 pitch hit high to right field. Hayward's back there though, and he's got room, and he makes the catch. Vogt did not miss it by much. Boy, he got a 2-0 fastball. He had a good rip. And just got under it. So the A's get the home run from Jaso, and it was the 9th home run of the year for Jaso, and it closes the gap as we head to the bottom of the 8th. It's now 4-3 Atlanta.
Sportsnet California is brought to you by Xfinity. home of the most live sports. And by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
Here's our game summary. It's brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 3-5-0 for the A's, 4-9-0 for the Braves. Sonny Gray, 4 earned runs in 5 1/3. The A's with home runs from Vogt and Jaso for their 3 runs. So Cook back out there as he faces Chris Johnson, Evan Gattis, and Andrelton Simmons. Big night for Chris Johnson. 3 for 3, 3 singles, and 2 RBIs. Yes, he did, says Ted Barrett. You going to argue with that guy? Between him and Roger McDowell, I'd like to see him have a face-off. First one to laugh loses, and it would go on for like 3 weeks. So Johnson strikes out. 8 strikeouts for A's pitchers tonight. Now the Braves will look up and see that the team they're chasing, the Washington Nationals, came back to beat the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight 4-3 in Washington. That's a final now. The Tigers beat Seattle 4-2. David Price was terrific. 8 innings, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. Joe Nathan got the save. So Price gets his first win as a member of the Tigers. So the Royals lead now in the Central. Is just a half game over Detroit.
So I think was did Austin Jackson wear number 14? Because David Price was wearing 14. I wonder if they traded Jackson. He's so no.
He did wear 14.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, got to have that number. Austin. You got to go, buddy.
Like Jeff Mathis was with the Angels, traded to Toronto about the time they signed Albert Pujols. I think Albert was going to get the number anyway. And I think David Price would.
Coco's going back, getting close to the wall, and he makes the catch. So Evan Gattis gave that one a long ride, but it's the second out.
Well, always like to see them go opposite field. This to right center. He has the power. I don't think when he was running he thought he had got enough. He's kind of put his head down, and Coco back to the wall, cradled it, and then shook his hand a little bit.
So with 2 outs, Andrelton Simmons will hit. Simmons had an RBI single in the 4th. He also singled in the 6th. Good pitch, fastball right at the knees. Angels still leading the Rangers 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning in Arlington. In the hole, diving play. Sogard gets up, quick throw to first, and Vogt picks it.
Wow.
What a play by Sogard. Sogard did what Andrelton Simmons does to just about everybody. He takes a hit away with a sensational play. Nicely done by Eric Sogard. Good way to end the bottom of the 8th. Check it out.
So what a night he has had. It's a hanging breaking ball off the bat that resulted in RBI in the first inning, making it 2-0. Scoring Freddie Freeman, and then how about this? Looping a base hit to right field. Fortunately, a great throw by Josh Reddick held up Upton, but then a little bit later, how about this one? That was on a pitch that Upton had walked to lead off the inning after the A's had made it a 1-run game. And then Chris Johnson on a 3-2 fastball with Upton running, able to drive the ball to left center. So essentially, he scored on a single.
So Reddick, Callaspo, Sogard to face Craig Kimbrel, the all-star closer for the Atlanta Braves. First pitch is a fastball outside. Kimbrel is 26 years old. It's his fourth full year in the big leagues, and he's been an all-star in each season, including this year. He's blown 4 saves. And that one's hit high in the air to left field. Upton's back. He's near the wall in front of 380, and he's got it for out number 1.
Wow. Oh, man. Take it to the O.Co Coliseum, and we have a tie game, and that's the difference of the 380 at the mark. And fastball, he provided the power. Reddick, that shot outside, and he basically said, I'll tip my hat if you go opposite field. That's how close Reddick did to going. But 380 to the power alley. And Reddick has to be very disappointed with that one because it looked like it was enough to tie it.
So 1 out. And Callaspo swings and misses, and it's 0-1. Callaspo is 1 for 3. And now it's 0-2. Only know what Sean Doolittle does. He puts that chin right up on that shoulder, and Kimbrel has kind of a unique setup as well. Highest career save percentage in Major League history, 90.2%. Again, this is his 4th season as the closer. There's that hard slider. In his career, Kimbrel has struck out 43% of the hitters that he has faced. So he is a very tough at bat, folks. And there's that hard slider again. This one way in the dirt, and Gaddis blocks it. 2-2 the count.
Well, there's 2 sliders and set for 100. Because after trying to get him to swing at a bad pitch, great eye by Callaspo, not swinging those pitches out of the strike zone completely. This is Encarnacion. Whoop. See how he travels with the home runs around the bases, Encarnacion.
That's right.
Put a parrot on there or something.
Went with the slider again.
Wow.
And Callaspo was able to hold up 3-2.
Well, that is, and those have been 3 great takes.
It is kind of a wipeout slider, and I say that because it just big sweeping movement. And the fastball is outside, and Callaspo with a heck of an at bat, and he walks. So Andy Perino is going to pinch run.
Well, that is a tremendous at bat. To take a walk after falling behind 0-2 on fastballs, and then 3 consecutive sliders, hard sliders, and then a fastball off the plate. And Upton in left field playing very shallow for Eric Sogard. The other Upton in center field playing very, very deep. Maybe Sogard can ambush him a little bit, jump on a first pitch fastball and not take one. I'm sure if the guys know he's a 2-pitch pitcher, fastball, slider, and Callaspo saw all of them. In 6 pitches, 3 fastballs, 3 sliders. Can you imagine being a first baseman and having to pickoff move, and that'll break in your first baseman's mitt.
And Sogard, one around, says Laz Diaz. Sogard with a double and a couple of fly balls to left field. Fastball is high. 96.9 is the average fastball velocity, second highest in the majors.
And it could be he might feel more comfortable with the slider. When you throw that hard with a fastball, hitters have to gear up for it. And if they're patient like Callaspo was, a little demoralizing for a pitcher, but I think of Randy Johnson, when he developed a hard slider, it was impossible to hit because you had to set 100-mile-an-hour fastball with the slider down at the back foot of the right-handers. You just couldn't handle it.
Well, I bet Kimbrel gets more strikeouts with his slider than his fastball.
Great point.
I mean, it's probably even more tough on right-handed hitters.
Right. And right-handers in the on-deck circle to pinch hit, and that is Derek Norris.
And there's the slider, and it's called the ball.
I think that one fooled Alfonso Marquez.
Yeah.
Maybe Marquez looking fastball too, because this slider.
That's a strike.
That is, and it's not where Gaddis catches it. Watch where it crosses the plate. So a gift is slider, check, swing, strike, fastball, ball, slider, missed call. But they take it.
Now, you don't want to be two strikes on this guy. That's why it's a big call. Again, the outfield very deep. Upton in center field, shaded toward left center. 2-1 pitch. And that's a strike.
Make up, because that's not a strike. Wow. Take a good pitch like that. An unhittable pitch. It's like it's off the plate, moving off the plate. And you get the call. Wow.
Perino, the pinch runner at first. And that one tapped off the foot of Sogard. And Sogard's going to walk this one off.
One of the things about closers, typically they do not have a very good move. And Sogard did hit it off his toe, and that's what slowed it down going to first base.
Kimbrel back up on top of the mound. Norris is the on-deck hitter.
When a closer throws to first base a lot, it usually means one thing. He does not feel comfortable with his delivery to the plate. A little bit slower maybe than normal. Fastball in.
Here it is, and it's not close, almost to the backstop. So full count.
See, I don't think he's comfortable with fastball tonight. Easy for me to say when he's throwing 97 to 100. I'm sitting up here. But
well, you may find out right here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, 3-2, got to throw a strike.
And we saw Upton running when Johnson hit the ball to left center and scored.
Perino not running, and a foul tip and in and out of the glove of Gaddis. So Sogard going to get another shot.
I think Sogard a little upset with himself that he didn't drive this ball. He is looking fastball and a little bit up, but after Marquez called the one fastball to make it 2-2, you got to be swinging, and it's hard to be patient. The guy throwing almost 100 miles an hour with a fastball. Another fastball away.
And a good swing. So Sogard with a real good battle. So good at bats against Craig Kimbrel. Reddick hit one to the wall. Callaspo laid off some tough pitches to walk, and Sogard has really put on a good at bat here against Kimbrel.
And you think of the fastball that Reddick almost hit out to left field. And now it's going to go again with a fastball away. That's the one. And I think that's a throw over on his own. Because Gattis just giving a simple one finger sign. He throws two pitches. He throws a fastball and he throws a slider.
And that one's driven to right field, but Hayward gets back there and he's got it. Sogar hit it right on the button.
That's too bad because you figured he was going to hit it hard. You just were hoping it would not be at one of the outfielders. And that was an excellent bat by Sogard. He got the fastball, middle of the plate, drove it, and tried maybe to pull it down the line, but straight away to right field.
So here's Norris. So the crowd starts to get up on its feet. 40,760 tonight, so a big crowd here at Turner Field. It's been another very entertaining ball game.
I remember last year in Cincinnati, left center fielder Ronald Chapman threw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that Derek Norris hit out for a home run. Granted, he's left-handed, Kimbrough's right-handed, but still excellent velocity from both closers.
First pitch is a fastball, 98 miles an hour, right there for a strike, down around the knees. That may be the best pitch Kimbrel has thrown in this inning. Good location. Perino pretty short lead at first. Right there with another fastball, 99 miles an hour, and now it's 0-2.
You know, a little surprising that he's taking those two pitches because it's hard when you're right-hander, as you said, and it's true. The slider is devastating on the right-hander. Now he's got two fastballs that he's taken, and Kimbrel might try to go with the slider.
0-2 pitch and a shot foul. He went with a fastball again, and Norris was waiting on it, and he had a good rip at it.
I'd like to see that ball fair to left field. A's would have had a one-run lead.
Pitch number 21 coming up. Here it is. And that one's popped up. Foul territory. Johnson's got it. That's the ball game. So Kimbrel comes in, does his thing. He gets the save. Perron gets the win. Gray gets the loss. And the A's have lost 4 in a row, and they've lost 6 out of their last 7. So it took 3 hours and 11 minutes in front of 40,760 here at Turner Field. And the Braves, for the second night in a row, defeat the Oakland A's. So your final score tonight, the Braves 4 and the A's